Good morning, friends. Bitcoin screwed us. As I said last week, one candle can destroy an entire analysis. So Bitcoin falling to 74, 70, what was the extreme there? 74,500 and making a new lower low. What does it mean? So I'm saying bear market faults, we're getting ready. I'm going to prove that. And I'm going to try and show you guys why I am bullish on metals still and probably where there's might be a good short on gas. So although they're also going to be dumping, things are going to be looking bearish. There's still a lot of trading opportunities for us. This is trading for a living. So if you that tickles your fancy, do me a solid, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and let's get into this real quick. And also, I would love to know how was your weekend, guys. So do me the following in the comments. Rank your weekend. It's so simple. Tell me where you're tuning in from and rank your weekend. Mine was, let's say, an 8.5 in all fairness. If we're going to be straight with you guys. Renee, I would love to hear what your weekend was like. And for anybody else, let's break the ice. Let's make it a nice, friendly stream. This is trading for a living after all. We don't want to try and retire next week. We need to do it long term, consistently. All right, let's cut the music. Let's get serious. Bitcoin weekly time frame. I was bullish as hell on Bitcoin, and I was hopeful up until recently. For the benefit for anybody that might be new, why was I bullish? Well, simple. Every time Bitcoin went and made a higher high, there's a critical level that it needs to hold, and that's my thou shall not cross line. You know this by now by hand. My thou shall not cross line. Peter is driving. You can see he's jumping in there. He's just reminding everybody, hello, look at me.
Hi.
I'm driving. But in any case, so he's multitasking like crazy, that guy. I don't know how he manages it, but again. We've had strong bearish divergence. And I explained to you guys that means jack nonsense, jack shit, actually, if you want to use the right word. Because divergence is only showing you that there's one side of the market being favored or there's strength to the one side. And it typically leads to more upside. So as though we call it strong bearish divergence, I think all that we need to say is it's a moment where the market questions for the momentum. Now, the key here is, guys, when we have these pivotal support levels like that at 69, price will come and test that range. And only once you lose that first point in the divergence, that's when you worry. And as we went on higher, we made more divergences and we stayed above those levels. And as we went higher, we made more divergences. And once we fell below that, that was my cue to say, oh shit. Now, this was the hope. There was hope left for Bitcoin, and we've now broken that hope. What was that? When we do go and test these pivotal areas of support, what typically happens is your RSI will go and give you hidden bullish divergence from the last pivot round, meaning the last big move that created the high, we won't go and make a lower low. So things that go up, as they normally say, keeps on going up. Hidden bullish divergence gives you that opportunity. Let me take a sip of water so that you can digest this. Every time we do go, what happens? Hidden bullish divergence holds. Sorry, drew it wrong. Hidden bullish divergence. And we had hidden bullish divergence right up to the point that we don't go below that level. And we've now done that. This then means the macro outlook for Bitcoin has changed. This is the one candle that I said that could change my entire view. My view's changed. Renee, has your view changed now? Blue Durhamstad. Hope I'm saying it right. Did yours say? Duidelik is 7 uit 10. Yes. 7 out of 10 is not a bad weekend, my friend. Let's see what else. There's 43 people joining in live. Only 7 people on YouTube. So obviously YouTube's very quiet. 33 on my Twitter account, guys. Let me know. Comment, please comment. Let me know how was your weekend. Love to hear. Now that we've deleted our hope for Bitcoin, it means that the macro view, like we had here, let me just do this. The macro view is changing, or actually is just playing out. It's not changing. What did I do? Let's quickly have a look at this. This is our halving chart. The red lines signal Bitcoin's halvings, the ones that's passed. And I know everybody said this many times. This time it's different. We've got institutional adoption. Last time it was, and the ETFs. Last time it was different. We had regulatory approval. And the last time it was different because we had our first Bitcoin futures account launching. And every time there's a narrative driving something, leading to it. But greed never changes, my friends. Therefore, this chart will keep on ringing true until something significantly changes around Bitcoin stock to flow model, supply versus the demand and those things. So as much as it was different this time around, it ends up being exactly the same. And that's what this chart basically points to. It shows us that between the halving dates, 38% top, 618 bottom. That's a time-based fit between those levels. Time-based fit between these levels, halving 2, halving 3, 38 top, 618 bottom. The last previous bull cycle, 38 top, 618 bottom. And this one, which made me believe regarding the momentum that was lost and the fact that we were in October 2025, top, meaning August 2026, bottom. That's my big play for Bitcoin. That's it. This means that from a alt holder perspective, we're probably not done going down. And I don't know how low Bitcoin will go. All that I do know is that where we're at right now, friends, Bitcoin has lost critical areas. It's deleted divergence. Now, the betting man in me, the trader in me, saying the following. We've now broken through, we've broken deleted divergence. So the immediate reaction that I would suggest or think of now is that the market should potentially rally. Why should it rally? You need to know this. Simple. After a big move like this, there would be late people jumping in and shorting this. The kind of people that would typically trade, and it would feel like the camera is staring back at them. And when they go long, it goes up goes down. And when they go short, it goes up. And it's just because the big move has happened. So they're entering when it feels safe. So at this stage, if you want to go short, the reality is that it's going to feel safe. Clearly, there's a trend. It's bearish. You're right. And that's why I want to go long. That's why I'm currently in a long at the moment, to be honest with you guys, because it feels uncomfortable. And the long is not because I believe Bitcoin now is going to go back to 105. Hey, shit, if it does, great. But it is because I believe that for the short term, because we had the liquidations, there's a little bit of an imbalance in the market. There's a CME living right there at the top. Look at this Bitcoin giant CME gap. That's why the prices just needs to squeeze those victorious short traders a little bit out of the market, and then we can continue on our trend. So which means basically, if we close or conclude with Bitcoin right now, this is weekly time frame. There are certain areas where I would turn bullish if we can get above, which means that for me, resistance lives at 86,900 thereabout. Anything below that is bearish. Anything below that is bearish. We're over now. Reclaim that level, then maybe I'll recant that. But for now, everything below 86,300 is bearish. Daily time frame, it becomes very simple. It's actually a nice chart. Now I'm liking Bitcoin chart because the daily has established a trend. Up until now, you had the upper boundary for the daily at around 94. You had the lower end sitting potentially around 85. So this $10,000 BTC chart is just chopping like this. And the rule when we lateral ranging like this is that we don't try and wait for the trend because you never know when it's going to happen. This one came like a thief in the night. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is like horrible. You treat the lateral range as if it's going to last forever, which means that You're bullish at the bottom of the range, you're bearish at the top of the range, and you allow this thing to chop around until the move unfolds. We're in that move now. The move has unfolded. We've fallen out of the bottom of the range. Upside will potentially go test the bottom of that range. Meaning, good buy zones, when they fail, become great sell zones later on. That's what I'm thinking, and that's proven. It's proven. It's the way the market does. It has this kindness to it. Whereas if you're out of the first move, it's okay. It will always give you another opportunity, that second chance. Okay. So with the daily being trending or trending bearish right now, we still have that 84,500 on the daily. Reclaim that, things start maybe looking in the opposite direction. So we've got our macro one at 86, and then we've got the daily one sitting at 84, 85. And they both in confluence, meaning that we're building more resistance levels, and it's your job to be part of the resistance, not the support. Now we want to trade that direction. Taking this information then to the 4-hour time frame, then it really becomes simple. All you need to do is just trade the trend. It's simple. And the tool that you can use to keep you up to date with the trend is the speed resistance fan. Put it on the high, around 90,600, that high there. Put it on the low, and now we've got a lower low. And double click on the thing, and then make sure your settings look like mine. That's all. That's all you need. You just need that 38.2. There's nothing more to it. As long as we stay below that line, we're trending bearish, and you want to be trading short. Reclaim the 4-hour pivotal area. It's around 77, which is more closer to where we're at right now. Then we could start thinking higher retracement. Then the daily resistance levels could get tested, or the weekly. But for now, because we have this momentum, you're not anticipating for that. Don't try and plan for the outlier event. Trade with the current trend. That's it. Now, if it makes sense, guys, there's a reminder again. Hit some likes, hit some subscribe. Let's head over to the comments, because I don't want to talk to you guys about metal season, because I think there's something there now. Remember, guys, I cannot give financial advice. I'm not a genius at this. All I can do is I can show you the lines. I can plot out the momentum. I can give you the tools so that you can make, based on what you have, in a decision. That's it. Educational purposes only. So just remember that, guys. Okay? Let's go to the comments this week. I got a nice long in at 98, and I'm nicely hedged. I mean, you probably mean a short. I cut my long. I think that's probably what you meant, guys. And I myself personally, I'm still out of the market since $125,000 of Bitcoin, and I'm not buying back yet. Even in the Discord, in the paid groups, I mean, there's no HODL report there just yet. Well, look at AF, Donald Trump pissing on your, your portfolio there. Funny one, but basically, even in there, I mean, there's no real investment report right now. This morning's stream, we went live, and I basically gave a lighter version of the information I've just shared with you guys now, a more in-depth version of this. So with Bitcoin being where it's at, that's going to be your play. So short term, I'm thinking, smaller than 4 hours, I'm trading long. But the bigger picture for you, the retail kind of guy, your analysis needs to be bearish, and you need to trade this bearish. Okay. Now, I said stocks and those kind of things. What I'm picking up, if you look at the Dixie, let's start off with the Dixie real quick, and I'm going to go back to the weekly time frame on the Dixie. The Dixie is showing us potential reversals, but I also know that this sometimes is just a little bit of a stall or pause for momentum to continue onwards. It just went a little bit too fast. And a lot of what happened within gold and silver was exactly just that. Think of it like this. The market has one rule to it. 90% needs to lose. So there's about 80 people watching live right now. Henry, you're one of those guys. Renee, you're one of them. And out of all your 80 people watching live right now, only 8 supposed to be making money. That's a tough statistic to fight against. But we all have the same information, the same indicators, the same tools. So what happens? We all can see the trends unfold and we position ourselves accordingly. But it's once there's harmony within the market in the sense that everybody is positioned for what is the expected outcome. That's when the market needs to flush everybody because there's no more buy orders, higher or lower, depending on the trend. The only orders that can find is your stop limit orders. And that creates this cascade, this liquidation event where it just hunts everybody stops. You get these crazy wicks. So you can see it on the Dixie, you can see it on gold. Gold made a crazy dip. We were talking about 6,400 being a good buying opportunity. It overshot, it retraced all the way back to 6,000, 4,400, 6,000. Sorry, guys. Excuse my misspoke. I misspoke there. Sitting at 4,600 right now, a really good buying opportunity. And that spirits the idea for alt season, meaning it might be metal season. Because we know when we're going through these parabolic rises, there will be these liquidation events, but they won't leave the 23.6 level. Let me show you. I'll prove it with gold, I'll prove it with silver. I've got gold open on the time frame. And while we do it, just as a reminder, guys, that thing means that I'm using Prime XBT to trade this. So if you want to trade on Prime XBT, you're more than welcome to do so. Because I've got Bitcoin, I've got my Ethereum, and I've got all my other crypto pairs there. But I have access to gold, aluminium, copper, other metals that we looked at last week we were really bullish for. So there's these bullish metals that I want to try and get my hands on, and it makes simple sense. Now, if you do open your account with Prime, what you can do is if you use my link, you can just send me a message. You can either DM me in the Discord, open a support ticket in the Discord, or reply somewhere, send a user ID. I'll verify you and I'll give you 1 week free access to my paid group. Okay? That's a thank you. Now, back to gold thing. It means the following things. If the momentum's going to continue and we want to say metal season, 23.6 needs to hold. So I'm going to take away the RSI real quick. And I'll even switch this to line tool because it's going to take away the noise. And when we look at this, every time we go sideways, what does the fibs do? We establish a trend and then we start making higher highs. Higher highs, higher highs, higher highs. TA works 100% of the time when you look into the past, I know. But it gives you a good mental mindset bias to understand where we are in the present. Now, every time we do make that higher high, what is significantly obvious is from the low of the move, we stay above the 23.6. It doesn't mean we can't wick past and do crazy stuff. It means that handshake time, when the deal gets struck, weekly closes, we stay above those levels. We make a new higher high, the trend makes a new higher high. We stay above the 23.6. We make a new higher high, we stay above the 23.6. We make a new higher high, we barely even retraced on that. So can't probably even call that a higher high. And where we're at right now, we're still above the 23.6. Therefore, all this retrace, this flush, it's not at this stage labeled as bear market over or metal market over. It's just those late orders, those lazy traders, those here for the good time, not for the long time. Let's just make a quick buck being shaken out so that the trend can continue. Okay, now what else can happen within this? It doesn't mean that it's going to rally right now. We could potentially still chop around a little bit because you can see from any of these ranges, you almost want the price to be dead right now. Just chop around before it moves. Because if it just shakes up, shakes down, and continues onwards, it means that there's more upside, yes. But it also means that the next shakeout is going to be even more violent. Because the higher it gets, the bigger the fib range is going to be. And these ranges, just stress points within the market. It's the percentage levels, and that's it. So I'm bullish on gold, and I'm saying that gold, from a weekly point of view, yes, we have divergence. But if we track the momentum on gold from the weekly point of view, we're so high above the thou shalt not cross level. And if I then bring this information and remind you of what we did and what we said with Bitcoin when we were very high above our divergence pivots, like it's there. It means that gold is just in the beginnings of a buy the dip season with the information we have right now. Candles can change, there's risk I cannot measure, and I cannot equate for that for you guys. I can just lay it out. But that's my feeling. That's what I'm going to be trying to trade. I'm not changing any bias on metals. And think of it like this as well. The fundamental driving forces behind these metals was there's going to be a shortage. It's evident the amount of supply that's currently out there and the demand that's currently there is not balanced. It's not going to get met. So everybody's chasing because they know that with that there will be an increase in price hike. And everybody chasing to get it sooner is hiking the price. Now, this doesn't even equate for the traders and all the crazy guys like us. That's adding fuel to that fire. Now it's shaken out. Everybody has been burned. That was late. Now the original fundamental driving force behind it will take over price, build the momentum, and we will continue on further. That's why I'm saying metal season is not over just yet, guys. Simple as that. Now, if your feeling is different, you feel like maybe, oh, yes, Rudo, but it's fine. You say this, we just dumped 22%, that's crazy. Let me know in the comments and we can take this conversation also further in my Discord. But in all fairness, this is nothing other than any of the other dumps in that regard. Okay. So P-Moto, I would love to hear what your weekend is like. Morning, my friend. Crypto Productions, CRP Productions, KRP Productions. Hello to you, my friend. I'm struggling with a little bit of a migraine, guys. So I'm struggling to read on the screen, so please, it's going worse than normal. Jerry, nice to have you. It's a buy the dip metal week, I would say. It's not a buy the dip alt season week. And I promised we will look at the alts as well. So I've given you some bad news with Bitcoin. So I tried to supplement that with some hope with the metals. And let's now drive the rest of the nails in the crypto coffin with the other alts. I'm sorry. End of the day, it's not about how I feel, not about what I do. It's about looking at the stuff unbiased, looking at the levels and asking a fair question. If it's so bullish or if it's so bearish, what needs to happen and is it doing that? And that's what we can try and do. So we know short-term upside. I'm expecting some upside for Bitcoin short-term. Larger time frame, if we look at the crypto market caps, let's quickly load them. The leap to Eurex just started. This is a nice new thing. I don't know what it is. I'll go read up on that. If you look at the total market cap, what has happened right now is broken trend. Broken trend, making lower lows, no more hidden bullish divergence. Bad, okay? Total market cap is bad. If we look at the total two, now let's take Bitcoin out. Let's see if there might be some alt rallies coming our way. The exact same thing has happened there. And this chart does look almost like a carbon copy of the Ethereum chart, and somewhat, I won't say completely. Sorry, guys, let me just move my foot. Somewhat, a lot like the Solana chart as well. So those alts where we were bullish last week, saying we were at the bottom of the range, those alts have now broken trend. It's no longer the case. The only place where the momentum still lives is on the metal side of things. That's what kind of spirits the idea for this video. We take this further. Let's take a little step further. Look at the dominance. Now, funny thing, and this is a positive, some would say, Ethereum is holding its market cap against Bitcoin, and most of the alts are holding their market caps against Bitcoin. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that can change as well. And what we wanted to see to spirit alt season for us was that the market cap needs to start trending bearish. We're not there yet. We're in the position where we're putting in a fall. I was questioning whether that was the one because we need a complex correction, maybe see something like that. And then there's still maybe even room for more upside, meaning that the second phase of a Bitcoin retrace is normally when alts hurt. And that's why I want to try and stay away investing in alts. Because if you think of it like this, where did people lose the most amount of money? In this Bitcoin consolidation, bear with me, guys, real quick, bear with me. In this Bitcoin consolidation, you saw Bitcoin going from 34 to 76. But you saw Solana maybe going from 50 to 200 or something like that. That's when the major of the alts saw their insane gains. So we can say to ourselves that in this area, when we're still trying to turn around, a lot of people, or most people, are still above their investment or their spot bags. I should have closed my door. I do apologize for that. Are still there, or at break even, or at drawdown levels that they can still stomach. So they're still holding their alts. Once we break and we delete that, we make that lower low on the weekly. That's when the real discount comes for the alts. So they down maybe 60%, but from that price point where they're finding themselves now, they could probably still go down another 90 or 70 or 80%. That's where the pain happens, my friends. That's where the pain happens. Now, let's have a look at this. Let's take this month. We're talking about May 2022. I'm going to go and we quickly have a look at Solana May 2022. So you see, for Bitcoin, the entire move is still over and it looks like it's horrible and it's over there. But if you look at where Solana was in May 2022, so there's 2022, there's May 2022. It feels like the most of the loss is already there, and this is insignificant. That little bit of drawdown, it means that it's getting over. You should have sold immediately. But if you think of it from this point of view, the amount of drawdown that you're experiencing there, 70%, but the amount of drawdown that you experience there is just as much, or in some cases even more. Solana was a strong version of it. Some of the other alts really took their punishment there, because it's at that point when we lose that critical support, portfolios go down, by 80, 90%. You can BNB. BNB was the strongest alt, big alt from the previous cycle. It held past that level. So with BNB sitting at right now, it has more downside potential than the other ones. Let's have a look at Cardano. It's probably a better example of just that. May 2022, there it is. And the drawdown from that move to its low, snapping in 72%. So you can see that there's the punishment that we expect for the alts. Just because they're close to the bottom. If you think about this is all bottom range. I mean, it's not that bad. It's just bottom range. But in that range, it can still go 70% drawdown. That's why I want to try and protect capital and look at where momentum is. I'll rather look at a little bit more something on the upside than try and wait for this. And this, if you think about it, if you just stay patient, where you're at today, you're right where you were previous bear market, and Bitcoin still has time analysis wise the whole of this year to dump on our asses. That makes me uncomfortable. That's where I want to leave the alts for you guys. Okay. So am I still worried about the gold dip, and why should you? Look, nobody knows the future. Nobody will ever know the future, guys. I'm going to be straight with you guys. But just knowing the future doesn't mean, just because you don't know the future doesn't mean that you don't know what the current trend is. Like I've explained to you guys, the current trend there is still looking good. So let's go and have a look at that. And let's not take my word for it. Let's use the buddy indicator, because it gives you mathematically equated, unbiased analysis. I can still be swayed sentimental wise. My previous actions, my previous trades could still influence the way I look at it. If I just got burned on the alts and I'm looking at a chart like this, there's no way I'm going to buy this. This is going to burn me as well. What, you smoking? Something wrong with you. But if you look at this mathematically, that's what the indicator does. It looks at it mathematically. What is it telling you? For now, what we have is we still have a trend analysis that's bullish. We haven't broken any trends just yet. The momentum is still bullish. So from a weekly point of view, this was just leverage flush. Momentum still bullish. It's still in a reliable ongoing uptrend. Now, what will happen is if we start doing this, the momentum will change, which means that we need to give it time to find out what it's going to do. That's the problem. We want to know now in advance. We sometimes don't want to wait. And I know that feeling. But that's it. And then from a structure point of view, 4,533 is our support level. It's marking it out there. That's the last divergence pivot. The last time the market changed its mind. And think about it like this. If we're negotiating and one side is winning, when was that mind shift? When people decided. When was that mind shift? When people decided, hey, this is now no longer a bargain. This is, this is a bad deal. Or this is no longer market. This is a bargain. When that mind shift occurs, that's a good support level. We think of support and resistance as just areas where people bicker over price. Not all support and resistance levels are created equal. But once the bickering turns into a move, that's the one you need to keep an eye out. And when the bickering turns into a move, that's what the indicator gives you. It gives you those levels. Those are the important ones. So Bitcoin, where it's at right now, we had the bickering from the previous divergence turn into a move. Now that move got tested. I mean, if gold only went to 4.6 and it came back to 4.5, all of a sudden people will have a different sentiment. But now because it went to 5.5 and came right back, because there was idiots buying it up like crazy, it doesn't change the fact that the bigger fundamental view on this is still pointing to upside. I hope that then just puts that. Renee, let me know. I'm not trying to convince you guys. I'm just laying out the TA, and you need to measure up the risk. That's it. Let me know. All right. Silver, same thing. Silver had an insane run, guys. Let's load. Come on, Silver. Chart load. Where we're at right now. Silver completed a wave. So where gold is just retracing for continuation, what did silver do? It blew past the 23.6 level, and now it's in the golden range, or the golden zone. This is where the next wave would continue onwards. Now, I know silver has some supply versus demand discrepancies from a fundamental point of view. What are they? 70 to 80% of silver that gets mined is not a silver product. It's not a silver mine. Typically, your copper mines and your aluminium mines, I think copper and aluminium, you'll have silver scattered around those minerals as well, those metals as well. So it's a byproduct of mining for copper, mining for other metals as well. So you don't, like a gold mine, have a gold specific mine. Silver is kind of like a blend metal, which means that to be able to control or estimate where the supply and demand levels lie for silver, it's quite hard. But we know that there's a ratio in the Earth's crust. For every 1 ounce of gold mined, typically you get about 10, correct me if I'm wrong, I can't really remember the exact rate, ounces of silver. So there's a silver to gold ratio that says when silver is above 50-1 ratio, it's overvalued. And when it's below, I think 20-1, it's undervalued because of that mining ratio. And we were past 50-1 most recently. So silver got overvaluated to the gold price in relationship to it. So it needed a deeper retrace. Do I say we need to grab silver right where it's at right now and just hold faith, blind buy, fingers crossed? Hell no. Clearly there is a correction there. But what will happen if the metal season is going to continue? It will reclaim this level at 38.2 or $82 per silver. It will build a lateral range there, and it will give you an opportunity to enter on this. And yet again, the buddy indicator would then be your best friend for that reason, because what it will do on the lower time frames, it will start turning blue again. If you look at it on the daily, what is it saying? I'll just make the text bigger for you guys. It's saying to you guys, hey, clearly this was a massive retrace. We're below support levels. Support was 93, 100 being a psychological number. Clearly it went past that. But the momentum is still bullish. We're still in an uptrend. And the worry that we have right now is that 93, which was support, which is lost, could act as resistance. But then it means that the upside for silver, or the bias for silver, still needs to be to the upside, because if this is now the turning point for bear market metals, we will go and test somewhere there around that range before we go lower still. So even if you want to bet against it, the short-term direction is leading to upside rather than downside. 4-hour time frame, the buddy then takes it a little step further, and this gives you a little bit of an edge, or not a little bit, a lot of an edge from a 4-hour time frame. We will then build a base. We will build divergence pivots and higher lows in the RSI. And when this thing turns blue again, you will know the trend is turning to the upside and things will move. So from a 4-hour point of view, silver is bearish. And everything from this point going on forward, you can probably try and scalp this thing bearish just to see what it wants to do. And only become bullish when this changes. Simple as that, guys. It's a simple tool. Simple. We look at the momentum and mathematically look at the stuff. Okay. You have for now. So let's see what else we have. That means that with silver being the move, I'm still a big fan of copper. This alt season flush that we've had is going to bring the attention now, and it's going to bring this into stuff like copper. Now think about copper. Copper has barely moved because it's not seen the same success as silver. Now, probably won't use that as the low, but this is the thing about here. You can always switch the narrative to paint the picture you like. But if you use closing prices, it then makes it more reasonable for you guys to say, okay, well, there it is. Maybe that's the copper low from that point onwards. In all fairness, 23.6 needs to hold. Let's leave it like there for now and say, okay, right, copper is hanging on a fingernail, just like silver. So give it some time with this week. But if we stay above $12,000 a ton of copper, I think it's a ton, copper, there is more upside because the momentum hasn't left yet. We've only made our first pivot. And it's a pivot after we've broken out. When we go make higher highs and we start doing that, and this thing starts doing this, that's when we worry. We're not there just yet, my friends. Metal season, I think, is good and healthy, and we need to pounce on that as opposed to let the crypto biases or the reality with what's happening in crypto influence us like this. Now, tech stocks. Tech stocks, Bitcoin moves with tech stocks. It's not a big thing. So if you look at something like Meta, let's use Meta as a good example of that. What has happened there? Why am I bearish then? There's your strong bearish divergence. Played out there. Oops. We stayed above the pivot. This is by the dip season. Guys in this move was shitting the bed. 34%. Oh, it's over for this. What did we do? We stayed above that pivot. Strategy analysis is still all good. Now what has happened? We've fallen below that pivot and we're turning that into resistance. Now this changes the picture for the tech stocks. Meta being one of the examples now. There's many of them. MicroStrategy. I said micro, it's micro. MicroStrategy. Same thing, divergence is there. We've fallen below that, fallen out of the range. It's not looking good there. So let's try and focus our attention on where it's looking good. And there's a lot of opportunities there. Now, smaller alts. There's smaller alts. I've spoken to them, with everybody coins that I'm interested. That you can find in the Discord, guys, within the investment section. Projects I'm interested in. Projects I'm interested in right now. I mean, Cantor Network, Aztec Network, QUAI, USDAI. These are all, you're not seeing it, my camera's in front of it, but these are all projects that I think will have good utility and long-term gain. But timing is key. The timing of the market's just not there right now. And that's it. Okay. What do I think of oil? Now, this is the one thing. I was really bearish on oil for that reason, because I want to bring the oil prices down in the same way. But if China keeps on fighting back, they're going to keep on buying oil from other companies that maybe don't have as much, and that's going to drive the oil prices back high again. So with oil, my trend analysis was that although we were seeing upside, I wanted to short oil. If we look at the weekly time frame, what has oil done? Let's talk through the same rationale that I'm saying alt season, metal season is not over just yet. What have we done here? Look, if you look at $50 now, this is now 2021. So look at the scale of time. Keep that in the back of your mind, but understand TA doesn't discriminate. There's a higher high. There's your divergence. What does price do? it stays above the pivot. It's simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Stayed above it, stayed above it. Didn't open and close or trade below that price. Then what did we do? We made a higher high again. This time around, hey, things did look bad for 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. But then when we reclaimed that momentum, the indicator switched blue as well and told you, listen, we're golden, we're going to continue onwards. No harm, no foul. There was a little bit of a crazy shakeout. This is probably leverage getting screwed out of the move, as it typically does. Then what happens? We made a new high, and the floor fell out from everything. 28%, that's where we are right now. Oh, it's over. So let's say it is over. What does the market do? Big machines will always need, or big moves always need that secondary test, because not all the liquidity can get out on that wick. Smart money will win. Smart money will manipulate the price so that they can win. You need to be patient for that. So worst case scenario, we still have, even if we're bearish, we still have upside to get themselves out of the move before the real trend emerges. Which then takes it from there. What do we have? We've got lows, high, lower lows, highs. And each one of these will be met with what? Hidden bearish divergence. The market telling you, listen, this is the last significant support resistance level. If we want to be bearish, our hidden bearish divergence has to incorporate those levels. And we didn't even go as high. That was extremely weak. What do we have? We made a new pivot, made a high. Then we kept on trending. There's a lower low. So every time this supply gets tested, you will find that the price will go back to those levels. Let me just do that. Bring it over for you guys. Taking to that level, bring it across. That's the area for the sell. Make the lower lows. Now what do we have? Almost again another higher high. So for this move, I don't know, it's a bit messy there. So it's a tricky one to call somewhere around this. So I'm just going to put it roughly there in the average there. What do we have? We've got a lower low for oil again, somewhere around that range. This is a seller's zone for oil, with the oil price potentially still going lower. Now, the indicator has picked up that the trend wanted to turn blue, yes, but it just didn't make the higher highs. It showed you that the momentum was still bearish, though. So the trend changes, and it can fall back on, those shakeouts, those traps. But it said the strategy analysis of where we are right now is still to favor the bear side of things. And that means your bias, your sentiment on this still needs to be bearish until proven elsewhere. Okay, there you have it. Yozar's rating is day a 9 out of 10. Really productive. Happy for you, my friend. That's a good rating. You go, man. So that's my feeling on this. Now, let's see what else we have regarding the oil. I have a buy on the weekly with the chart last July, but who knows? Nobody knows. That's the thing. Nobody knows. But what we need to do is, in order to be lucky, you need to be in the market. You need to be there. Think of it like this. I'm going to close off with this Bitcoin chart. Bitcoin sold off over the weekend. I trade for a living. So come Friday, close my trades off, done for the week. I'm going to enjoy a weekend. And then this happens. So I'm unlucky. I didn't manage to make money out of that. Now, what is the definition of luck at the end of the day? It's being prepared, waiting for an opportunity that you get preparation, meeting an opportunity. That's lucky. Now, if you want to be lucky, what you need to do is you have to have exposure. You have to have the risk to your portfolio. And it depends on where you draw the line. So for me, yes, I'm unlucky. I missed out on this dump because it happened over the weekend. But I'm lucky to a point because when we looked at the macro stuff, I acted accordingly. And everybody had enough time. I mean, yes, I was hopeful for 108 guys. I'll raise my hand and say not everything I say on the stream plays out exactly as it is. It's not about being right. It's about measuring the risk and understanding, how the probabilities play out. So I bid you an amazing week. I want you guys to just chill, breathe. It was a crazy, crazy weekend. Short-term upside, definitely, I think it's there. It's there. How high it's going to go, it's not going to make anybody whole. It's never going to be that kind of upside. And then from that point on, we want to see whether the bear momentum now lasts, because Bitcoin has broken trend. The alts are looking horrible. And yeah, I think that there's more downside. Alts looking horrible. How can I prove it? Let's look at Bitcoin Cash. I was extremely bullish there. The trend's still pointing upside. Momentum is still there. But if I'm using my TA, this is now mathematically, it still points to more upside. But if I use my TA, what am I saying to myself? Early warning signs. Early warning signs are saying to me, listen, we had a trend within range, and now we're no longer trending within range. What can happen is this week could close there. And then the indicator was right, I was wrong. Or this week could close below there, and the indicator will probably then turn suit and say, listen, the momentum's confirmed. We maybe need to worry. So for me, Bitcoin Cash, where it's at right now, realistically, 50% of the range would be the first area where there could be a buy, 440. In all fairness, maybe 300 is where it's going to go. Best case scenario. BNB indicator has already shown you, hey, this is not what we needed to do. We had a divergence support, which has now been lost. So it opens the door for more upside. Yes, if something happens, let's say Trump does back off out of war of Iran or something, that creates comfort for people to stop fleeing to look for safer stuff. It could change the narrative again. One candle can change everything. But for now, guys, I think we have to face the music, be honest with ourselves. The Dixie is trying to build a base. Bring in the RSI, you can see that higher high, see the lower lows there. It's trying to build a base here. It could chop around this range. It's all Trump's manipulation. And yes, there could be the super cycle, which we want to see that will bring liquidity to risk on assets at some stage. But the sentiment would need to change, and that risk on assets needs to do better than what the metals are doing now, because clearly it's the no-brainer side, and it's the side that took the most loss right now. And it's all because of leverage, not because of fundamental forces changing. Metal season, I think, is healthy, in my opinion. It's up to you to measure the risk. And crypto on the chart basis needs time. There was too many coins, too many promises made with zero or empty deliveries. That's not going to bring trust to that space. It's not going to bring institutional adoption to that space just yet. So let's go to where the money is going. Make some money there if possible. And when it rotates, we'll be there to rotate back with them. Right. That's it. Thanks so much, guys. You have a lovely day. Have a lovely week. I'll be seeing you guys. I'll be chatting on the Discord, or I'll be on my socials. So make sure to follow. And best case scenario, give yourself a little bit of a boost. Why not subscribe to my Discord service as well? I mean, I've got now 5 members. I had 2 more members subscribe. Most of the times the guy jumps off and they become lifetime members, which is a no-brainer in the end of the day. And I think that will greatly help you guys, especially if you really want to learn, want to grow. That's it. That's the place to be. That's it. Have a lovely day. Cheers, guys.